Nobody's listening, right? Hi, Andy.
Hey, I.
How are you?
I don't know if you want to lead with that because I'm not good.
Okay, first of all, is anyone listening?
Yes, they are listening from Eau Caroline. Totally listening, y'all. Long-time listener, glad to have you two back. I wonder if y'all's going to become a thing or something.
I love y'all.
Crust Kelly, I'm listening. Can't wait to listen every Wednesday. So glad you guys are back. I mean, that Shaman78, happy to have you back. Cat Jeffy, I started listening to Totally Lame and Totally Married around the same time I got my first corporate job right after college, 8 years ago. Elizabeth and Andy helped me keep my sane during my awful LA commute. Now I've started a new job around the same time. They've turned to podcasting, and I couldn't be more thrilled to hear them on my drives again. It feels like listening to old friends. Love you guys.
Okay.
Love you.
Amazing.
How about that?
Wonderful. Thank you, everyone. So, are you turning me down?
I'm not turning. I'm just turning my headphones up.
Oh, up?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Okay. You reached over with such vigor. I was like, oh, is my voice
Your
suddenly...
shrill voice. You're all good. I am a little bit pissy at you, though.
Why?
I'm going to tell you right now.
Okay.
We're in such a food funk.
Yes.
Huge food funk that we can get to in a second. But I just walked in the house and I saw a bagel on the counter, and it was like a bagel that was purchased at some sort of bagel place. And you didn't ask me if I wanted a bagel, and we're in such a food funk. I feel like the fact that you didn't communicate that you were going to walk into our house with a bagel in one of those bagel bags is crazy.
So here's what happened there.
Oh, I can't wait to hear it.
Okay, you need to simmer down a touch. I dropped the kids off at school, and I was going to go for a walk and listen to a podcast, as I do.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, you know what? Today I'm going to walk in a different direction.
Fun.
And I was thinking back to how nice in Brooklyn it was to go, like, walk up to get a muffin and, like, walk to somewhere with a purpose.
Yeah.
Which we very rarely do outside of just taking our kids to school and stuff here.
Yeah.
So I also wanted to time out the place where the coffee shop, it wasn't a bagel place that I went to, is very close to where I'm going to be doing Pilates. And so I wanted to time out.
If it's a walkable situation.
And it turns out it is. It's exactly a half hour
there.
Walk there.
Okay.
And so I went to get a coffee. And while getting a coffee, I was like, oh, that bagel looks good.
I bet it did.
And I didn't ask you because, well, it didn't occur to me. And also, I didn't want to be carrying back a ton of stuff. I literally had my phone.
Yeah.
I had my AirPods in. And then I was carrying a coffee and just the one bag with my bagel. It's like those little sacks like you get in Starbucks.
Yeah, everyone knows a sack.
Was enough. I was already overloaded. I have no pockets on my person.
But listen, it's the difference between a bagel sack. Let's say, I'm sure looking at that counter, there was a pastry that you would have thought to yourself. You probably did think to yourself, I bet Andy would like that.
No, I didn't.
And then you were like,
didn't cross my mind.
I don't know what's worse. You not even thinking about it, or are you thinking about it and then deciding not to do it? Probably that is probably worse. But here's the difference. They would have grabbed that little pastry and put it in another little bagel sack thing, and then they would have put both into a single paper bag.
No, they wouldn't have.
And that would have been easier to carry than the bagel sack.
No, they wouldn't have.
Yes, they would have.
No.
And if they didn't, you know what you could say? You could say, excuse me, sir, could I have this in a paper bag?
This is exhausting. Andy, Jesus Christ. I just picked it up on a whim. And listen, yesterday I came home and you had Chinese food that you didn't, like these things happen. I don't hold you to that.
I would have definitely asked you if you wanted Chinese, but in the morning, you checked in with me and said, I'm going to this place to pick up lunch for myself today. Do you want anything? And I said, no. And you're on a photo shoot. So that retort has no weight.
Okay. So what I'm hearing though is that yesterday I did think about you and thought, oh, he might want lunch. Like I'm your secretary making sure like everything's organized and stuff. Today I just was going, it happened on my way. And then I came back and you know what?
What?
When I got home, I realized I don't even want this bagel right now. I'd
Oh,
rather...
for Christ's sake.
No. This is important. I'm going to have it for lunch. But I realized I'd rather have cereal. I'll have that for lunch. I could have eaten that I could have eaten that bagel and you wouldn't have even noticed.
That doesn't make it better. A secrecy bagel's worse.
Okay.
And just because you asked yesterday and I said I didn't want anything doesn't mean that now I just don't want things.
You
We're
didn't
in a
say
food funk. That's
you
the
didn't
thing.
say you just said I'm good. You didn't say thanks for asking. You didn't say there was no it was just I'm good.
I'm good. There's nothing like that's the perfect response.
No, I'm good, thanks. Though. Or I'm good, but thanks. There's a better response, Andy. Well, I'm glad we had this discussion. Can we talk about
I guess do you not want to talk about the food funk at all? I'm stressed out about it.
Well, I feel like you're where I was last week, and now I'm kind of at peace with that we're in a funk. Like you're stressed out about it.
What are we going to have for dinner tonight then? Because you clearly figured out lunch.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Dinner, I don't know, but we can figure it out.
But I feel like we keep eating the same things, and I'm so sick of them.
It is because the food funk is because our children are holding us hostage in their food preferences. And I know this happens to every family, and this was an issue in my family because I was vegetarian and, it became a problem. But where like, I know that parents who are listening to this are like, yes, like you start to feel like you're a short order cook and you can only get food, like get this specific food for this kid and this specific food. And so if we could truly just have all of the food, and people would deal with it in whatever way they need to, we'd have so many more options. Like we're so now, our kids basically, one of them only eats like mac and cheese or like pasta. Even a quesadilla is now like a
It has to be a special cheese that we don't even know what the cheese is.
And then our other kid now has decided that they don't like pizza. Like all of these things now are off the table. I don't even know what that other kid eats. Like it's
chicken nuggets.
Chicken nuggets. That's it. Which I don't eat. It's complicated. But if we, like, I was thinking, I would love to order Indian food. I love Indian food. Mm-hmm. We haven't had it in forever. How awesome would it be if we could order Indian food and our kids would eat it?
We messed up, didn't we?
I don't know where we went.
There are families that their kids eat everything.
There are?
Yeah. I don't think it's the common thing. I think most people are in our boat. But there are people that execute in a way that we have failed.
Our kids don't even eat stuff that I'm like if we got Indian food and we got like samosas and white rice, I'm like, most kids should be able to eat that, and maybe we should try that. But I'm just like, our kids don't even, we just need to get back on, I think, remember the Bringing Up Bebe?
I do.
It's this like baby parenting book by this French woman. And it was like the only parenting book I read that I was like, okay, this does resonate for me. And it's the idea of, well, first of all, where we did miss the boat is like really introducing your kids to lots of different foods and flavors and spices and things like that, and talking about how things are different and delicious. And that does work. Like our kids have a gardening class at school, and all of the kids have to try 2 bites of everything. That's it. If they don't like it, they don't have to eat anymore. But like Otis he was excited about like a kale salad that they had because they made it interesting. They grew it. You know, and so that's one thing that the French do is basically all of their kids go into this government sanctioned preschool, which is another good thing that they do that we don't, which is so fucked up. And part of their preschool education, which makes so much sense, is learning to appreciate food and finding pleasure in it and exploring food. And our kids have not been exposed to enough different things. And part of that is we also have had life-threatening allergies and have had to avoid certain foods and things like that. But the other thing that the idea is you just serve the family meal.
Mm-hmm.
You don't force the kid to eat. Like there's no clean your plate. There's no you have to eat that before you get this. Like there's a family meal and occasionally there's dessert and it's not like a reward.
Mm-hmm.
And that there's something offered that everyone likes. So like, for example, if we are having pizza and we know that one of our kids doesn't like that right now, we also offer yogurt or fruit or something else that they like just so that they're not starving. But we've gotten into this rut where we sit down, one or the other is like, I hate this. And then it starts to become, can I have a this? Can I have a this? And then you and I are just getting up 75 times, you know, as the employee of these young.
Yeah.
Anyway, I hear you on the food rut. I say, let's order Indian tonight. You don't want Indian. See, part of it.
I'm not, you know what? I'm not, no, no, I could go for Indian.
Okay.
That's like, this is the thing. I wanted something to come out of your mouth that I was just like, yes, and like so excited, and that about. And Indian's not really that, but you know what? We haven't had it in a long time, and you know, yeah, I'm down.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, glad we solved that. Let's talk about the hardest I've laughed in a while was a few nights ago.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to speak to this delicately because I feel like I don't want any of this to come across as mean-spirited in any way.
Oh, geez.
But first of all, you purchased us some marijuana gummies.
Yeah. Do you know, I went to the dispensary on 420, which is like the most rookie move of rookie moves. And when I tell you the line was 40 people deep,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but it also turns out not only was it 420 and there were a bunch of rookies like me that went on that day, but they had like all these promos going.
Well, were they rookies or are they people who take this seriously and like wanted to capitalize on the promos and stuff?
I don't know. I bet it's both, but I got like...
Well, let's take a look.
Do you want to see what's in that bag?
Yeah, but first of all, so Andy went to the dispensary. I will say we have not done weed. I took some weed gummies when my back was hurting last year, but like we have not done any version of this for the last couple of years outside of me trying to do some painkiller stuff that didn't work.
I feel like we did. Yeah, it's been a long time. And really since we were real on it was like whenever like the vapes are bad.
Like
we know
8
vapes
years
are bad,
ago.
but like when it was like maybe there's some like real scary vape stuff going on. Remember where all these people were getting sick? We were like, oh, let's put the vape away.
Yeah. I was saying, I don't know that I'll inhale things again because I just now feel like it's so bad. But okay. So
wait,
Andy,
before you open this up.
Hang on. Andy went to the dispensary
Yeah.
on 420. I didn't know you were going.
I went to get for Totally Beverages and sometimes hot sauces like chili oil thing.
Okay.
Which was $5. Mm-hmm. And then I bought a thing of gummies for, I think they're maybe $20. Mm-hmm. So I just want you knowing that going in, I bought those two things. That is it. So everything else in this bag, including this bag, which is pretty
This
cool,
tote bag is very cool. Okay.
was free.
So here's a very cool tote bag. I might post this on my stories for Wednesday so you guys can see. Okay, I'm pulling out, oh boy,
They say, what size shirt are you when you get to the window?
a t-shirt. Wow, that's fun. And it's a very soft, nice t-shirt.
And
Great. Okay. Then, oh, what is this? Oh, this is for Cann, Cann, that weed-infused social tonic. And it looks like some sort of, I don't know what this is.
it's kind of like a bandana.
It's a bandana. Cool.
Best believe we're going to be drinking that on T-Bash, y'all, at some point.
Okay, we got, wow, a cannabis-infused cookies and cream crispy. Sounds delicious.
Sounds
It's
up your alley.
10 milligrams per crispy, so you got to take that easy. Houseplant striking matches. Oh, those are cool.
I know.
Wow. This is fantastic. Oh my gosh. You got a pipe?
Yeah. I've been trying to think of like a funny joke to do with that pipe, but I couldn't think of anything. But how hilarious is that was in the bag too?
This pipe is wild.
I'm going to give that to someone, I think. We don't need that.
Well, yeah, but be careful who you give it to.
How so?
Like, I wouldn't give this to a woman. This looks very...
Okay, why wouldn't you give this to a
Well,
woman?
it looks like a wild, like, dildo, sort of.
Okay, number one, your head is like in the gutter.
No, I will tell you something.
Yeah, I wasn't planning on giving it to a woman, by the way.
Okay.
But still.
Please don't. My head's not in the gutter.
Mm-hmm.
I think that shit like this happens all the time,
Mm-hmm.
where it's part of, I don't know.
A promotion?
No, where like men who are predators or whatever do these subtle little weird things.
Okay.
Now, it's not a dildo, but it definitely looks like it could be or something. And also, it's a weed thing. I even think that that's inappropriate. I don't know, given the women in your life outside of me, basically, it just wouldn't be an appropriate thing for you to pass off. Like, I'm thinking of artists you work with and stuff like that.
Sure,
you don't
sure.
want to. Anyway, so this is that. Okay.
Kind of looks like a butt plug more than
It does. It looks like a very
adventurous
nubby butt
plug.
plug. Okay. And then we have, ooh, what are these? Made with real blackberry, cannabis-infused Marionberry gummies.
What's Marionberry?
And 10 milligrams per gummy. I don't know, but I think it looks like a blackberry because that's what's on the... Wow, you really cleaned up.
I feel like I made...
Oh, wait, there's more. Hang
There's
on.
more?
Yeah. A couple of cool stickers.
Yeah.
And a lighter. Ooh, we need this for
Like,
birthday candles.
I
That's
feel
great.
like I made money by going on 420. And guess what?
You
I'll be
did.
back next year. I'll stand in that line again.
That's fun. Now we have like a 420 tradition.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so you and I have, I'd say, aside, I just want to say also, I feel like I'm in a really good place right now. I'm feeling, for the people who have been listening, I'm feeling like I have a much better handle on like my body stuff right now.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm getting to be a mom, and the anxiety I felt about like, oh my gosh, am I fit for this month has gone away, and it's been actually really lovely, and I've kind of just surrendered to the fact that I'm
Crushing it. You're not working and you're crushing it in the mom game this month.
I'm feeling very motherly and
It's great.
doing it.
You're killing it.
And have had some like really lovely moments with them where I'm just like, I'm drinking this in. Like yesterday, I mean, it's not lovely, but Otis had a nosebleed, and we just sat cuddled up on the couch watching a show while I tended to his nosebleed and like had him sitting on my body, you know, like, and thinking, you only get so much more of this.
Yeah.
He's 6 now.
Speaking of the nosebleed, it is kind of odd that it happened on a swimming day and it did last swimming. You'd think he has like some anxiety about going to swim class?
I don't think anxiety causes nosebleeds.
It's just such a crazy coincidence.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
But, so there's that, but we've been in a food funk and we've also kind of been in a TV funk. And there was this joyous moment last week when you were like, Selling Sunset is coming back, which is, I'd say, you know, a lot of people watch Bachelor or Real Housewives or, I don't know, Kardashians or something. And we've never gotten into that, but this has been our guilty pleasure reality show.
Yeah.
And it is so ridiculous. It's about, for anyone who hasn't seen it, it's about this real estate office in Los Angeles that handles like these huge mega listings in LA. And it's all of the women who work there, work in quotes. They're really just reality stars. I was saying to Andy, I bet if you go to that office, it's, you know, just a bunch of normal women who are trying to look like that working, but these stars step in for the cameras, I think.
Yeah.
And they all look like this kind of, you know, skinny, booby, Barbie doll, hot girl in quotes, gals who, you know, seem to work hard in their careers and are real estate moguls in the making. But, we did these gummies, and I think that they started to take effect right when this was getting going, which was very fun, and I got very giggly. And I hope people have watched Selling Sunset because they're all these gals who are all kind of a type.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all, I really actually like most of them, seemingly, like however they're portrayed on the show. And they all like talk and they're friendly. And there's kind of one that is the shit disturber. And they're always talking about the conflict with her. But they're chit-chatting and there's a rhythm to it.
Yeah.
And then there's this one character who, her name is Davina. And everything she says just seems so forced and awkward. And it really does feel like she's like neurodivergent or just doesn't fit in here. But if she is neurodivergent, this is why I want to be sensitive to it. I'm like, please don't try to fit in with these people. Like, you can do better than this. You don't need to work so hard to like stoop to the level of this, because it seems like it's not easy for you, and that's a good thing. Like, they're all chit-chatting and these hens are clucking about whatever thing that they're gossiping about, and then it cuts to Davina being like, yeah, it is like that, right? And then they're like, oh my God, and did you see her dress the other day? Blah, blah, blah. And Davina's like, oh, right, yes, the dress. Yes, I was thinking that too. It's just so weird.
Well, it reminds me too of like, if you think of like being in middle school, of like you wanting to hang out with the cool kids and you're kind of on the outskirts, yes. Like just kind of standing there and you chime in hoping that you'll be accepted in the group. It feels like that to me.
Oh my God, you saying that reminds me so vividly. I mean, I feel like I felt like that so many times. I'm sure everyone did. But there is this video somewhere that my best friends from growing up, Kendall, had at one point. And it was her 10th birthday party. And it was all these like cute little girls. And actually Ellie Kemper was there. And they're all in there. It was a swim party. Mm-hmm. And they're all in swimsuits. Even this goes back to my body stuff. I'm 11. Mm-hmm. My sister is 13. Mm-hmm. My sister's in a bathing suit.
Okay.
As is everyone else.
Yeah.
I am in a muumuu.
What's a muumuu?
It's like a large kind of caftan-y, just like cover up thing. I'm not in a bathing suit.
Did you not want to swim?
I don't know. Either I was so insecure at the tender age of 11, and or what's worse could be that my mom put me in a muumuu because I'm not worthy of bathing suitdom at this time.
Jesus.
But anyway, all the girls are standing around, and you can hear me, like Kendall's opening presents, and you can hear me being like, she doesn't care. She's focused on her presents, opening them and stuff. And by the way, Kendall's still one of my very best friends and is a lovely, lovely person. And I'm like talking up my present. Like, I can't wait for you to open mine, blah, blah, blah.
While she's opening yours or while she's opening other presents?
Other presents.
Oh, God.
Getting
Elizabeth.
to my present. I get my present and I give it to her. And she opens it. And it's like a seashell kit. And I don't know why I thought that was like the world's most amazing gift ever. And she like pauses in confusion because it's confusing.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, cool, thanks. And she kind of like tosses it to the side.
Yeah.
Then you see me like walking over to where the seashell kit had been discarded as she and the other cute swimsuit girls are continuing to open the thing. You see me pick it up and look at it with sadness as though it has betrayed me. You then see me literally put it down and move 6 inches to the right and start eating brownies off in my muumuu in the corner, brownie eating. And
You shouldn't tell people this story.
why?
This is sad.
So sad.
Keep this one to yourself. Jeez.
But anyway, so Davina, it's just so awkward and the way the editing is done, I'm like, that and also the way they film it, I'm like curious if they like get the whole conversation with everyone and then basically are like, okay, now we're going to do a take for Davina. Like, Davina, say some stuff during this. Like,
Right.
speak to they're gossiping about Christine's dress. Like, say some things about that. And she's like, oh, okay. Yeah, her dress, right? Her dress was really weird, right? Things like that. So, but anyway, we're watching it and it's just so awkward. And Andy and I are giggling and kind of high. And then Andy said, you said, what if this whole show, Davina actually has created the show and it's like a performance art piece? Like the reality part of the Selling Sunset is all just the stage for her to do this awkward kid in middle school performance art in this world of high stakes real estate.
Yeah.
And I am so excited to watch it again through that lens. It made it the funniest fucking thing I have ever seen in my life. And I could not stop laughing.
And it also seems like it kind of crazy. I mean, we were stoned, but it seems like plausible. Like, it's just so weird.
It is so weird.
Like that, and I feel like we're on season 5 of this show. We're pretty deep, but I feel like in season 1, I feel like it felt like she might not be coming back to the show. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Like that it was like a surprise that she was back or something.
Right.
And it's like, it could really make sense that she's like the Svengali behind this whole
She's
thing.
the mastermind.
And that she thinks it's hilarious.
She's actually a comedy genius. I actually recorded us laughing at this, and I don't know. I was pretty high. I'm having a flashback, and actually after this, I want to ask you about any ideas you've had when you were high, because I can think of a few.
Oh, yeah.
But here, so I don't know if this will even play, but I haven't listened to it since then. But here it is. I think at first it's like the other ladies talking, and then you hear Davina, and then you hear us laughing.
This is what I will say. We became best friends before anything ever happened. I've never had a relationship start like that before. So good. Was it fun sneaking around like that? Was it fun sneaking around? It was in the beginning. It's just that before we came out, it started to get annoying.
She was the one that went so,
So
good.
good. That's not the best example
but
because
that's so. God. If anyone does watch the show, I think they will appreciate
oh my
this
God.
theory.
I feel like we're giving them a gift to watch it through that lens. Okay. Do you remember it was while we were high, I had this idea of starting to do stand-up comedy in earnest. And my whole shtick was going to be, I wasn't even going to tell jokes. I was just going to talk about things and tell stories. But at the end of everything was going to say, like, let's say I told the story about Davina and we're like, and maybe she's the mastermind. Your dick's the mastermind.
Wait. Yeah.
Everything
was it
was
that? It was something like that.
Everything was going to be your dick's this or your.
It was something. Was it that or was it? I feel like it might be a slight tweak on it. Yeah.
I think you're right. Wait, what was it?
It was penis related for sure.
Yeah.
It might have been dick too, but
it was something. It was something close to that, but it was.
like you just have this tagline on everything.
Yeah. Okay. I gotta find this because
How would you find this?
I actually like. I can't tell you how many ideas I've had that.
Are you going to just search dick and there's going to be a million files on your.
Yeah, I actually, there's this one woman show I still kind of want to do that I've like written out a lot of it. And now I'm looking at it. I'm like, what was I thinking? Like, I'll never do that. And this was kind of a similar thing. Okay. I'm just going to look at my writing and see what.
Search your dick.
Oh God. You have no idea how many hits it's going to get. I have a lot of things just came up.
You're kind of a pervert.
I kind of am a pervert.
No, you're not.
Well, I don't think I'm a pervert, but I think that I have I think being in comedy and stuff, there's a freedom in exploring sex stuff or talking about it or writing about it that, not everyone gets to enjoy. Okay. What ideas have you had?
I'm sure I've had some dumb ideas, but I don't really, I've kind of resigned from being creative while I'm high. I've had a few experiences like I don't do well making music high. I don't know if you remember, but I had a few times where I got high in sessions early on when we lived in LA, and those were did not go well at all.
Some people can really, that's where they do their best kind of work.
Some people love it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that guy. So sometimes I like to listen to music when I'm high, but yeah, I don't know. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've had that writing down notes of stuff I want to do when I'm high. If that makes sense.
It was, so I talked about
You found it?
yeah.
Really?
Uh-huh. Telling the story about my mom dying, me in my debutante dress, hearing the song, and the punchline would be, your dick's mom is dead.
Give another example. Do you have more than one example on there?
Yeah. I have, the only things I went discharging in schools are vaginas relating to gun violence. It's kind of funny.
That's good.
Talking about, let's see, none of these make that much sense. Okay. It was probably incredibly high, but talking about the road rage or whatever, your dick cut you off without a blinker. Something I wrote down. Oh my gosh, this is wild to see. So anyway, my whole high idea was basically I could start doing stand-up and not feel beholden to having jokes necessarily, just talking about whatever and telling stories. But the joke would be that at the end of everything, I would say, your dick, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. There might be something there if you perfected it, then there would be jokes weaved in, but it wouldn't feel like it, sort of.
Do you remember this? I wrote down the humiliation of getting hurt by a Pringle and losing vision from when Andy threw a Pringle at me. Do you remember that?
Is that something we talked about in therapy?
I don't.
Just kidding. No. I hit you in the eye with a Pringle, maybe?
Maybe. I mean, obviously it was an accident. Okay.
Huh.
Well, anyway, what a fun walk down memory lane.
That's fun that you keep all that stuff.
Speaking of bagels, I did want to tell you something. This is a little something.
Yeah, please.
So this was just at a coffee shop, this morning one. But last week I did go to like our local bagel place, which we don't know the owner well, but we have met the owner.
Yeah.
And it's totally like they're going to open a Jewish deli, I think. Like it's a legitimate Jewish operation.
Was he there? Have you ever seen that guy there?
I haven't seen him there.
Okay.
However, I, put the order in and I put it under Rosen. And there was, when I went to get it, now I may have been imagining it, but I don't think so.
Okay.
There was a when I went to pick it up, like, oh, I don't know, just busy and distracted and whatever and getting everyone's orders ready and blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, hey, I'm here to pick something up. And they're like, okay, name. And I was like, Rosen. And they stopped and smiled at me and were like, oh, yeah, right here. And I feel like I kind of got to play the card in a nice way that felt really good.
Wow.
And I wanted to ask you, have you had that experience with the last name Rosen being not even very Jewish? There are definitely other names that are more so, but I think that if you are Jewish, you know that that's a Jewish name.
For sure. Yeah. For me, it's more of a burden and a humiliation because when that happens, the experiences that stand out to me, it's more of this like Jew and like I'm supposed to know about some Jewish thing that I don't know about, and I get nervous because I feel like a bad Jew. Do you know what I mean? Because like me, I look very Jewish. You being a Rosen, they're maybe not expecting it, and then you say Rosen, and then it's like this cute goy looking Rosen. You know what I mean? It's maybe novel, and they're not going to like give you a quiz. But me, it's more...
Do you expect them to be like saying something and you're going to be like, Baruch atah Adonai, like having to say something?
Well, when I moved to Brooklyn, I lived in Crown Heights, which was adjacent to a very Orthodox Jewish neighborhood. And I learned very quickly, since I look Jewish... There's a few holidays, and there's one where you blow the shofar that I learned my first year there to not say I was Jewish because I would get stopped constantly and had shofars blown at me. Because if you say, have you heard the shofar? I'd be like, no. And then they stop you, and they do the whole thing, and they got to blow the shofar. I don't know.
Okay. Does a part of you wish that, I mean, especially now that we have kids, so... I think you overheard me having a pretty in-depth conversation with the kids the other day during bath time. And like, they're starting to ask bigger questions and talking about death and dying. And, Teddy lost her necklace and was asking me about a time I lost a necklace, and I had lost my cross necklace, which was incredibly special to me. And then they were asking like, what's that? And I was like, oh, and then the horror of it, like I'm explaining to a 6 and 8 year old something that I knew from age 2 onward and actually was looking at weekly, which is like, so there was this man who lived a long time ago who, was a really good man. And
You're talking about Jesus?
yeah, talking about Jesus, named Jesus. They'd heard of Jesus. Like, he's really wonderful, very kind to people. Like, other people were mean to someone who didn't have money or couldn't bathe, and he'd stop and wash their feet. And like, he made sure it wanted everyone to have enough of things and all of this stuff. And then there were people who really didn't like him, and they killed him by nailing him to a cross. And so now this symbol is really important to a lot of people, but like looking at it through their eyes, I mean, like, that's horrifying.
Yeah,
Why would you have
yeah,
that be
yeah.
the symbol?
Yeah.
And like not being able to explain the nuance of
Yeah,
all of it.
sure.
I mean, by the way, the story of Passover is another horror. Like, if you go back in time in the story of the Egyptians enslaving the Jewish people and like them killing all of the baby boys and Moses getting, it's
Yeah.
But anyway, my question to you is now, because I was telling them, like, you have Jewish heritage, you have Jewish blood in you, and Jewish people are incredible because they have overcome so much. And Teddy's heard a little bit about the Holocaust in school. And I think they touched on like Anne Frank. But again, I'm like, these are kids who are so sheltered, and it kind of blows my mind. Like, I grew up knowing about these horrors, and it was just part of life, like how they killed Jesus and all of this stuff. But for our kids, I think it's like, wait, what? And so, does any part of you like wish that you had more connection to it, or want to explore more connection to your Judaism?
Well, here's the thing: is I it's funny because what I know about Judaism, like, it seems like a pretty cool. There's some pretty cool belief systems in there. Ones that I think resonate in general more to me than Catholicism and Christianity stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like kind of cooler. But my memories of going to Sunday school and
Hebrew school, right?
I don't know if it was Hebrew school, but just Sunday school at the Jewish temple on Sundays. As a kid, and everything Jewish as a little kid, I hated it. Like, it did not resonate for me. That being said, I think I've always been very suspicious about religions in general, and I studied a lot of religious stuff in college. So I think but I do feel like a spiritual person, but none of these big organized things resonate to me. And then culturally, a lot of people culturally resonate with Judaism. I've never felt like super part of that tribe. That's never really resonated to me. Do you know what I mean? But who knows what'll happen over the years. But I just
I also think it's interesting because, like, in some ways, we celebrate Hanukkah, and that's about it. I mean, we don't have a Seder, although I would love to have the kids be part of a Seder,
Yeah.
But, like, for our kids' sake, there is something to me, and it's interesting because I actually feel more connected to the Judaism for them than I do, like, because culturally Catholicism is not very important in my life, versus Judaism was culturally a very important part of your dad's life.
Yeah, but he has a really interesting relationship to it as
really?
well. And he often cites his bar mitzvah was one of the worst days of his life.
Whoa.
And that's why me and my brother didn't have one.
Wow.
He hated it. Hated the pressure, hated everything leading up to it, hated the day. Yeah, so that's why my brother and I didn't. I don't know if it was the worst day of his life, but
yeah,
so not a good memory that it was like there was not an ounce of pressure for us to do that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
If anything, maybe like discouraged from doing it.
I think there's something to me though about, you know, hearing the stories of Judaism, and obviously that Jewish people have overcome so much. And I don't feel that to be true for Catholics, like as a cultural aspect of Catholicism. I mean, certainly there are people who were abused by the Catholic Church, which is a whole different thing. But like, there's something about that I like instilling in them for them to draw from, of like who I am, my identity, where I come from, and that I have that kind of in me. I carry that with me, I think is what attracts me to having them have at least a cultural connection to Judaism. Less important to me is the religious connection, obviously. But anyway, something to think about.
Yeah.
But it was interesting because then I think having that conversation with them about the necklace and Jesus and everything, and it just got like really, you know, then questions start coming at you that I'm like not really prepared to answer or talk about. And then, but then later, I think that they got out of the bath and you were hanging out and you hadn't been part of that conversation. And Otis came out and he was talking about his lovey that he lost like a year ago. And he was like, but I feel like I'll find it because I prayed to God that I could find it. And you shot me a look. Like in the 2 hours that I had spent with them prior, like I had completely brainwashed them into believing things that we just don't. Anyway, it was weird though talking about praying, because like that came up during the conversation and they were like, what is praying? And I always find it fucking insane that like people, but to each their own. But my issue with prayer is like people are praying for like, please let the like my team win this championship, like my football team, where they're like violently crashing heads into each other. Like my prayer is that this team wins, when it's like, how dare you pray for that? Like, I don't like the idea of you praying for that and God being like, oh, okay, yes, like this child is dying of hunger, but this person is praying harder that their team wins. You know, like in some ways I'm like, who am I to pray for anything?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Sort of. I get your point that you're making.
But, and also it felt a little bit, because like this story started with, I lost that necklace, and this was true. I prayed to Saint Anthony, who is like the patron saint of finding things.
Yeah.
And then my necklace did kind of like miraculously appear a couple days later in a place that I thought I had looked and whatever.
Saint Anthony.
And so then my kids are like, oh, well, then I'll just pray and it'll show up. And I'm like, well, it doesn't exactly work like that. And also, like, do I want them praying for like things? You know what I mean? It's weird. It's all complicated.
I get it, but I also think I think praying's I think you could pray for anything, right? And I think
there are no rules.
And I don't think I think the Lord has the bandwidth for all of it. I don't think some people are getting. I think your praying harder thing. I'm not sure how much water that theory holds.
Well,
but maybe it does. Maybe that's the key to all of this.
Well, listen, I do believe that if prayer makes someone feel more comforted and more like in control of things somehow, then great. Like pray for your team, pray for whatever the fuck you want to pray for. So that's fair. I feel like that you're praying harder than that person is the old Catholic mindset that I grew up with, which is like, goes to, I think the first episode of this podcast, Nobody's Listening Right, was we were talking about how like the premise of Christianity or Catholicism is that I am chosen and you are not. And therefore I'm better
Right.
than you and
Right,
I
right,
know
right.
better and I have all the backdoor secrets of heaven, and like God is punishing to people or to souls that they put on. He in Catholicism, it is very much he, like the white man in the robes put souls on this earth, and some of them were just born into the Christian families, and then some of them, if they don't find their way there, they're fucked forever. Like,
Right.
I don't know, that idea of like, well, you're just not praying hard enough, or you just haven't chosen hard enough, or whatever it is. And that's kind of what I used to do. And it actually very much like, you know, Catholic confession is transactional in that way.
Yeah,
It's like
weird.
if you go into that booth and you're like, listen, I killed someone.
Yeah.
Then it's like, well, you're going to have to say a lot of prayers to clean that slate.
Yeah.
I'm giving you 100 Hail Marys, 100 Our Fathers, versus going in there and being like, I stole a chapstick. Well, that's going to be about 5 Our Father. You know, like,
Yeah.
it's so stupid.
I don't know. I can get the logic by that one. Seems worse, a bigger offense than the other. With the praying, though, I think, and I want to be clear, I don't think I'm not closed off to the idea of any of this stuff being real or not real. And as I say, I do feel a little spiritual. I think praying in general, though, I think there is, I think what's cool about it is you're just setting an intention, sort of. So even with, let's say, praying to St. Anthony, if praying to St. Anthony actually helps you find your thing, great. If it's also just an intention that is helping you find the thing because you're setting this intention and it's going to stay on your mind, and then you're going to see the necklace when it appears, I think that's cool too. But I do think it's I do think it can be a nice tool for people and productive in that way.
Yeah. And I do think that, like, personally, if I were in a moment of crisis, I would and will appreciate lots of people praying for me. And like, actually, we have friends who are going through something right now, like right this very moment, where I know they have a ton of people thinking about them right now, sending good energy, whether that means praying for them or just hoping for them or whatever. And I don't think, I mean, I think there's power in that. And there's power in, that's one way for community to rally behind someone in need, which I think is very powerful. So I don't discount that. I just think sometimes when people are talking about prayer and or like they're using prayer for the bad, like, oh, I pray that my godson or my grandson is not gay anymore, or praying the gay away. It's just, you know.
Or the confession thing too. It seems like you have a bit of a problem. Like,
Yeah.
guy goes in, I cheated on my wife with another woman. I stuck this butt plug / pipe up her butt. And the priest is just like,
Where'd you get that? Well, my friend Andy Rosen got it. He didn't tell me where. Well, describe the shape of the butt plug.
it's knobby.
It's knobby. It is knobby and nubbly. Yeah.
Well, this is fun.
Yeah. All right.
I pray people are back next week.
I pray people have left comments and iTunes feedback.
Good night.
Good night. Shh.